Peter Molyneux has earned the right to say what he wants. This whole game development thing, he's been doing it for a while. Last year he received a BAFTA Fellowship and a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Game Developers Choice Awards. He's even got an OBE, which presumably means he's got a reserved parking space at Camelot. I don't know. He's acquired a well-earned reputation for being a little too liberal with his enthusiasm about upcoming games, but he's clearly passionate. Still, Peter Molyneux is mad as a snake. At the recent Xbox Spring Showcase, during an interview, he admitted that he is bored to death with f***ing controllers. As experimental as a brick, he described them. Now, I'm not going to single out Molyneux any further because he's just one cog in this sort of larger machine that's raging against traditional controllers. There's all this talk about, how, the controllers that we have are old and busted, and motion control is the new hotness. It doesn't matter that these have worked for a long time. It's time to get up and do stuff. Is there something inherently wrong with the controllers that we have now? Did I miss a meeting? There's this bizarre idea that gamepads are suddenly rubbish because our interaction with them is limited to just our thumbs and forefingers. That, these sorts of controls ought to be replaced with gesture controls. But how is driving with my hands outstretched on an imaginary steering wheel any different from rocking a stick back and forth? As long as we're talking about steering wheels, I want to talk to you about Saab. In 1992, the Swedish car maker took a Saab 9000 and they took out the steering wheel and they replaced it with a joystick. That happened. The prototype is still in the Saab museum. Actually, the museum's been liquidated, so you could probably buy it. Anyway, Saab's joystick car never made it into production, and they just went back to making cars with steering wheels that Saab fans loved. And then they went bankrupt. Twice, actually. But that's beside the point. You see, the steering wheel has been around since 1894. Now, it's 2012. They probably could make a car with camera controls that speeds up and slows down depending on how much I shout at it, and steers according to how far I tilt my head. It'd be the Connect Turbo S. And you die in it, spearing off the road into a Connect Turbo S that crashed there earlier, like this. Slower, slow, slow, stop, stop. You see, the steering wheel remains the best way to control a car. What you get is the perfect balance of control and sensation. Now, I imagine putting a controller in the hands of a non-gamer and putting a teenager behind the wheel of a car are both quite intimidating. But if you want to learn how to drive a car, you learn how to use the controls. Now, I'm not going to dig in my heels and demand that we freeze development of controllers, but the controller isn't a problem that needs to be solved. We don't need to strip the controller away from gaming any more than the motor industry needs to strip the steering wheel away from driving. The video game controllers we have today, these are devices that have evolved over 27 years and 5 generations of video game consoles. They allow us to interact with modern games with the finesse that many of them demand. I'm all for augmenting it with new technology as we develop it, but why do we have to get rid of it entirely? See, to me, I feel a bit lost trying to play a game without a controller. I'm standing there waving my arms around trying to make it do something. It's like walking onto a tennis court without a tennis racket, or a cricket pitch without a cricket bat. There's a tool missing. There's a reason we're not driving around in cars controlled by cameras or joysticks. If there was a better way of driving a car, we'd have invented it by now, and we'd be driving them. Why does gaming have to be any different? Stop trying to kill the gamepad, seriously. Why? What do you think? Is this a relic? Is this a thing of the past? Should we toss it to the curb? Let us know in the comments below.